Well, I just slept on an airplane. It is a bright and early 6 o'clock in the morning at JFK. I just arrived on a red eye from LAX. I got about 10 hours before I need to be back here at the airport before my next flight. So I'm gonna go check out every single borough of New York City. And it's the middle of January. So if you got a long layover, strong chance you won't be able to check your bag through to your next flight. So instead of just, carrying around my suitcase full of fur coats, there's actually luggage storage at JFK at Terminal 1 and Terminal 4. Hello. All right, that was pretty quick. Off the plane, dropped bags, and ready to go in under 30 minutes. Because I'm alone, I don't really feel like paying the 52 flat rate taxi to Manhattan, and it's a little too early in the morning for the buses to run. It'll take a little bit longer, but I'm just gonna take the subway. That was really pretty quick. It was like an hour and a half from getting off the plane to getting into the city. First stop, Brooklyn. I gotta find some caffeine before I totally melt after 4 hours of melatonin-induced sleep. Originally, New York was only Manhattan, and actually New York and Brooklyn were sister cities connected by the Brooklyn Bridge. So at the beginning of the last century, there was this big campaign to consolidate areas around New York into one big old New York. Eventually what happened, New York and Brooklyn combined, but so did a total of 5 boroughs: Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, Queens, and Staten Island. Besides great Instagram spots and the Barclays Center, I'm pretty sure Brooklyn's most known for the Brooklyn Bridge. So just for some perspective here, Brooklyn, Manhattan. I learned something today. Definitely cooler walking across from Brooklyn to Manhattan because you get the view of Manhattan as well. If you start from Manhattan, you kind of just get the view of the bridge and that's it. Okay, so Brooklyn, check. 1 borough down, 4 to go. Making a cut here to the next borough, which is the most un-New York borough of New York. Anybody ever heard of Staten Island before? Staten Island's the kind of place that literally New Yorkers on YouTube say don't go there because it's where we put our trash. And I'm pretty sure all, or at least most of the Jersey Shore characters are from there. At least in spirit. Staten Island geographically might as well be Jersey. It's so freaking far away. But really what I'm here to see is the boat that takes you there. Here's the cool thing, it's free. And it drive-bys the Statue of Liberty, so even if you're not trying to go to Staten Island, this is a great thing to do in New York.
May I have your attention, please? Welcome aboard the Staten Island Ferry.
These poor people, everybody's just riding this to go to work, and I'm just here to see the Statue of Liberty for free. Next time I'm here with more time, I do want to spend some time in Staten Island. I think there's actually some really great places to eat. I think there's some pretty good pizza spots too. Today, get off, get back on, go back to Manhattan. So in the history of New York City boroughs, there actually was a Staten Island secessionist movement, in the late 90s, early 2000s. Part of the way that Giuliani was able to swing Staten Island to get the vote to be mayor of the city is that he promised that the Staten Island Ferry would be free if Staten Island remained a borough of New York City. So here we are on the free Staten Island Ferry.
Thank you for riding the Staten Island Ferry.
So if you've been in New York before, undoubtedly you've been to Manhattan. And even if you're visiting the outer boroughs, high likelihood you'll have to travel through Manhattan to get between them. So today I'm skipping all the tourist mainstays that I've already been to before and I will go to in the future. So on my way between boroughs today, I wanted to make sure that I stopped by to see one thing in Manhattan. Unfortunately, it's along the way. This thing. This is the WTC Oculus, and it is part of the World Trade Center redevelopment. It also lays claim to be the most expensive train station in the world. This bad boy cost $4 billion. So the subway in New York is pretty much outrageously complex, and it really functions differently than most other metros or subways around the world. This is one of the few, if not the only, systems that runs express trains, which means that a lot of trains don't stop at every station. If all of this is a little complex, just ask Siri, Google it. This is a good time to remind you that there are several different trains that run on the same tracks. So I'm waiting for the 4 train, the green one. We've got a 5 train that's coming through the tracks here, which is gonna go somewhere totally elsewhere. Leaving Manhattan from the most expensive train station in the world, I took the 4 train up to the Bronx, which definitely is not Manhattanized. Here's what I do know about the Bronx. This is the place where hip-hop started, and it's diverse. The main language spoken here, besides English, is Spanish, and over the time it's changed. It used to be Yiddish, used to be, I think, Italian. So among, a ton of other ethnic populations, one of the big ones in the Bronx is Puerto Rican. So I've kind of honed in on a Puerto Rican spot for lunch. This is morcilla, right? Okay, this one is the morcilla, which is a blood sausage, and it's usually stuffed with like rice, kind of. Nice. It's like creamy, and it's fairly heavily spiced. Oreja, pig's ear, and plantain. And what else do I have in here? Lengua somewhere. This is a cow's tongue. Various parts of pigs and stuff. Gracias. Alright, so last of 5 is Queens, and Queens claims to be the most diverse place on the planet. Queens is also freaking huge and eclectic. I'm actually probably going to one of the least eclectic parts of town, Long Island City. Queens has also got killer views across the river to Manhattan, so I mean honestly it's an even better view from here over there than it is standing in the middle of all that mess, Check this out. So if you flew in or out of New York, you got a 2 out of 3 chance that you're visiting Queens because both LaGuardia and JFK are in Queens. Okay, so mission accomplished almost. It's time to get back to the airport and make sure I get on my next plane. Ran into our first infamous New York subway breakdown. Train to the airport, no good. So I still got enough time to get to the airport, but I'm like starting to cut it just a little bit close.
Please take your belongings.
I am wiped out, But you know what? That was awesome. And it's definitely doable. You can go to all 5 boroughs on one layover and still make it in time for a flight. So, good night from New York. And by good night, I mean popping some more melatonin and maybe sleeping on another red eye. Thanks for joining me on Travel Aggressive. And don't forget, subscribe for a lot more how to travel content.